More fun to talk on the show anyway.
Hello, baby. Hello, nasty. Hello there. Hello. I say hello. Hello, friend. Well, hello, little girl. Hello, my treacherous friends. Hello, operator. The beginning of everything. Welcome back, my friends. It's showtime.
Hey everybody, it's episode 346 of The Brink of Sanity. I am Jay, and with me is Mark and Peter. How you guys doing?
Good.
All right.
Peter, who guest hosts sometimes, has not been on for a little while. How have you been, Peter?
Pretty good overall. I think, I find it a lot easier to do things that I'm not supposed to do and a lot harder to do things that I'm supposed to do. So the laundry, for example, or cleaning up my apartment, I find almost completely impossible. But learning,
you have not your apartment is a complete mess right now, and laundry has not been. You're wearing dirty clothes right now.
Yeah, extremely dirty, just like potato cloth, more or less. No, I mean my place is usually pretty clean, but it gets very, very messy quickly, and I think. In this state where this is my house, it's my office, it's my entertainment center, it's everything. I feel like if I put one napkin on the table, it leads to a chain reaction of insanity where I turn around and the place is just full of random clothes and old food and random shit. So all the stuff I'm supposed to do, house maintenance and even work duties, I find very difficult. But obscure, weird things that I read about on the internet that other people are doing, like making sourdough from scratch, I dedicate an inordinate amount of time to mastering, and it's effortless. You know what I mean?
You made sourdough from scratch?
Yeah. Among many other really weird things that before this experience I never would have done ever. But it's making sourdough from scratch, which takes 10 days, 11 days because you have to activate the starter and do all this crap. Is an easier task for me in this situation than doing my laundry.
Doesn't it sound better just to get the coronavirus going to the store to get the sourdough bread?
Sometimes. But fresh bread.
Jay, are you making any sourdough?
I'm not making sourdough, but I am doing more random things that.
What random things are you doing?
Well, not totally random, but I'm learning to play guitar. I'm learning Thai, things that I've been postponing for a long time. I'm doing, but
so you both are becoming Renaissance men, and I'm gotta catch up on Ozark.
Yeah, but
I'm doing that too.
But like Peter said, it's I have to move this box from one room to the other, and it'll take me 3 days.
How often? Here's the question: Are you have you cleaned your bathroom? When's the last time you cleaned your bathroom?
I did do it. I don't know. It was a while ago.
Was COVID a thing the last time you cleaned your bathroom?
Yeah.
Okay. Peter?
So I kind of cheated. I the only other human being who's entered this house in 3 months came here about a week ago, and it was the cleaning lady. So she came, but I created a zone around my bed and around my living room with tape that she could not enter. So
why were you? By the way, did you sit on your bed the whole time going, "No touching, get away from my zone"?
Dude, I don't know about you guys, but I don't know if you have a cleaning person come by, but the idea of me being present when the cleaning person is here is so terrifying and mortifying. To possibly make eye contact with someone who knows how filthy this place gets is would be soul crushing for me. So no, I just rode my bike for 6 hours to avoid any possible contact with the cleaning person.
We have not had a clean person this whole time, but we're actually having my wife has decided she can't take it anymore. So the clean person's coming I think on Thursday morning. But it is kind of weird also when the clean person's here and you're watching them and there's clean. You look at them and there's why can't you fucking do this yourself? I have to this is my job, I understand it, but why the fuck can't you clean up your own place? I can't clean up my mess. Please do it for me, ma'am.
Yeah.
It does feel a little shitty also.
Yeah. That's why I can't be present for that. I have too much shame.
And then she's does she do your laundry?
No. Unless I like specifically ask or pay a little extra, like typically no. But she has before, which is pretty sweet.
If you pay a little more extra, will you get a happy ending or just laundry?
I haven't inquired, but maybe next time I might. She's actually kind of attractive, so. But
you know, it's COVID times. You gotta like. She's coming to your place. You guys are already not social distance.
Yeah, true. But the only way I would like actually even make out with someone, they'd have to be like Margot Robbie level attractive for me to take the risk at this point.
Could we cut to the scene? I'm going to be you for this scene, and you could be the cleaning woman. Okay. Even if you're not agreeing to this, I'm going to do this scene anyway. Svetlana, do you want to enter the zone? You see the circle, the tape around the bed? You can enter the zone if you take off some clothes. Svetlana, do you want to enter my zone?
Sure.
Nailed it.
I gotta imagine that. She'd probably ask how much. She'd probably ask like how much. She'd probably ask me if like I could wear like a hazmat suit or something. Like there'd be some exchange, but we don't have a relationship where I could accurately predict what she'd say other than like sure or no, running away screaming.
What if she was like, "Can you do me in the butt? My vagina's so tired from the last place." Would that be too creepy?
I guess I'd have to oblige. Like I'd have to figure out a way. Get some like canola oil or coconut oil or something and try to make it work, I guess.
Yeah, and that way, if you cough, you're not directly into her face.
That's true.
Yeah, so it's the actually safer form. It's the correct way for the virus. So Peter, my understanding is Peter went to one of the protests recently. Yeah. And I want to ask you about it because Jay, did you know Peter? His protest they've solved the issue. Everything's fine now. Do you know what happened?
No.
The protests were a success because HBO Max has agreed to remove Gone with the Wind. Everything's fine because Gone with the Wind is moved. HBO Max has said, "We've heard you, Black Lives Matter. We're taking off Gone with the Wind. Problem solved."
Yeah. It's so funny because Mark, you're right on. There were 3 protest demands, right? And that was the third one. But the first one was we want a bunch of celebrities to just do like a black and white video where they say shit about being black and like, accepting responsibility. So we checked that off the list. We wanted NASCAR to, remove the Confederate flag from their cars. And much to our surprise, that was checked off the list. And then, of course, thirdly, the big one, which I wouldn't have imagined would ever occur, honestly, not in my lifetime, but for Gone with the Wind to be removed from HBO Max. And I mean, this is an unprecedented triumph for protest movements everywhere.
I mean, they even got like TV, the cops are no longer on TV. I didn't even know it was still on the air, but apparently now it's off the air. They stopped it. So it really is above and beyond. That was the cherry on top. They stopped showing the show Cops.
Yeah, that was just like a added bonus. That was just like a good job movement bonus kicker type thing. But wow. What a different world we live in now that those things have happened, guys.
I have a question. When the executives at HBO Max decided we need to get rid of Gone with the Wind, do you think there was anyone not white in the room who was having this conversation, being like, "This is our step to solve everything"?
There's definitely just a bunch of white guys. Yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely
no chance.
Literally no chance anyone wasn't white in the room, being like, because they'd be like, because the black guy would raise his hand and go, "What the fuck are you people talking about? Who cares about Gone with the Wind?"
It's like, people were racist in the 30s? Like, who cares?
There's an article in the New York Times. Apparently, there's even been an uproar. You guys would not have seen this show, but I have kids. There's a show called Paw Patrol. Have you guys heard of Paw Patrol? Probably not.
I heard about it through my niece.
It's a bunch of dogs. One's a fireman. One's a police officer. One's a something else. And they just go on adventures. And it's funny because it's for kids and all. And they said, I guess people are complaining about the portrayal of the dog who's a police officer, because there hasn't been an episode where he's beaten a black person, so it's not realistic enough. People are goddamn insane. This is also the shit that happens where people get annoyed about the movie. Like, let's just focus on things that really matter.
Oh, that wasn't a joke?
No, there's an article in the New York Times about it.
Wait, that was for real? Like there was
no one actually wanted to see the police dog in the cartoon beat a black person, but people were complaining about the portrayal. Like they were making cops seem so good without showing the.
I mean, I will say this, like growing up, didn't you guys have more or less like favorable impressions of cops? Like, I mean, ages
Yeah.
like, 3 through like 10.
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
Yeah, we're all white, so yeah, of course.
yeah. But I mean, yeah, no, that's a good point. But I guess that's the end of the point.
Yeah, that really is the end of the point. I have to say, I do feel like I do not make a joke, but the protest, this is probably the first protest of my lifetime, at least, that seems like it's going to make some difference.
Yeah.
I-
I agree. I protested against the Iraq war like back in New York, and it was like, I swear to God, like 90% of the people there, if not more, seemed like they just were there to like be part of a protest, like not because they actually cared about like anything. It was like the most lackadaisical, like whatever. And I've like marched in like the Women's March and a bunch of other like random stuff that basically seems like a foregone conclusion that it's just like performative. You know what I mean? It's just like doing this to perform. This one, and it's funny, this is the first one where there's like quote unquote violence. It's like, wow, things seem to be maybe changing, and it's just interesting. The dynamics here are really interesting.
I do like, it's something about not being just like, I don't agree with the violence. I empathize with it, understand why there would be looting and people getting just so frustrated. It does also just seem like you burn some shit and the city takes notice.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the thing about the violence and the looting, though, is, I mean, like, why were like, if you're cops and you want to stop looting or stop rioting, like, here's a tip, like, go stand in front of stores, like, have one cop in front of, like, on a block, like, you won't get it. But the cops chose, in most places, most big cities, not to, like, protect against the looting, but to just, like, go at the protesters, which makes no sense. I mean, like, Saks Fifth Avenue in New York had to hire their own, like, private security force because the cops just, like, weren't interested in protecting it. So, like, here in Chicago, there were 12 cops who broke into a congressman's office, like, when the rioting and the looting started, and they microwaved his popcorn, they drank his coffee, they just, like, they put their feet up on his staff's desks, like, while rioting and looting were happening outside. And, like, it was all caught on video. Like, so I think the cops made a conscious decision in a lot of places just to be like, we're going to shift public opinion by letting this, quote unquote violence, like, go down and just sitting on our asses or beating up protesters. So I think there's even more to the story than, than like burning some things. Like, the cops were complicit in it.
I mean, people have said, like, why can't the protesters control themselves? I'd say, why can't the people who are being professionals who are supposed to control themselves can't control themselves? Like, the cops are much more guilty of not being able to control themselves.
Totally.
What was your experience like in the protest?
Well, yeah, it was pretty mild. This protest was like probably the whitest protest like I possibly could have gone to. And I didn't, I wouldn't have gone if I didn't have like a full face mask, like P100 face mask. And I didn't like get
Was it one of these protests where, like, they wouldn't even say black? They were like, African American lives matter. We can't say, we're not sure if black is totally politically correct. So African American lives matter.
Not that bad, but like it was at a park not far from where I live, and a bunch of people like basically just sat in the park, and everyone was actually initially observing like social distancing, at least as far as I could see. Everyone was wearing masks and stuff, and it was just like singing, and it was actually kind of jubilant, and the cops were like 100 feet away, like they weren't even getting close. And then, we started marching, and I just kept my distance, and it didn't really seem like I'd heard about all the violence and like aggressiveness and whatever. But I think since I went on like day 7 or day 8 of this whole movement, like a lot of the more like aggressive elements had already sort of fizzled out. So it was pretty chill.
So your observation was the white only upscale version of the march. The please leave alone.
More or less, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, seems about right.
Jay, any new thoughts on the protests as they go on?
I mean, at the beginning was I thought the looting of the small businesses was kind of ridiculous. Like,
yeah.
Putting sole proprietors out of business, like what does that help at all? Like I get if it was organized and if they targeted like the big corporations to like take money out of the rich people's hands, that would have at least showing that there was some organization to it. But I feel like it was just a bunch of people that felt like they were just going to rob. And
I mean, I think there's probably whatever. Maybe you could say 90% are just protesting and don't want to cause trouble, and maybe 10% want to cause trouble.
Right, but the fact that that 10% is thousands of people. It's
yeah. I mean, it wasn't really organized as much as like shit like boiling over a pot. Do you think someone should be kicked off an airplane for expressing their thoughts on George Floyd?
Did they use the N-word?
No. They were not. They felt bad about what happened to George Floyd, and they spoke up on a plane ride, and they were escorted off. Do you think that's messed up?
No. I mean, they got escorted off. Hell yeah, but that's totally fine.
It's totally fine that they get escorted off. Like, you don't have your right to like.
No. It's totally fine to do that. Like, the fact they're escorted off is absurd.
What if they were like, they stood up to make a unsolicited speech on their thoughts on George Floyd when the flight's trying to leave?
Then, tell them to sit the hell down. And if they don't, then get the hell off the plane.
What if it's a porn star from such titles as Bra-Busting Lesbians?
Then maybe I'll get off the plane with her and talk to her about plane etiquette.
So I can't tell anymore when Marc is joking and if our country just sucks. I can't tell the difference anymore.
This was a flight from Houston to San Francisco. Her name is Ellie Knox. Not the most attractive porn star. I wouldn't have guessed she was a porn star, but she wanted to speak her pride about just talk about what's happened with George Floyd and make a speech. And United Airlines was like, "What the fuck are you doing? We need to leave."
So before the show, Peter brought up a good question. When did we realize that our country sucks? And I think these articles that Marc is bringing up are good examples.
I don't think I realized quite how much our country sucked until I was at least in my 20s. I remember I actually studied abroad in Australia, and I was in a class where someone brought up the anti-gay laws in the United States. And I was like, there are no anti-gay laws in the United States. What are you talking about? They don't like just have laws that discriminate against gay people. I was wrong. This was when I think like when this is before gay marriage was legal. And actually just now actually the Supreme Court just said that you can't fire people for being gay, which up to I guess yesterday was legal. Peter, I imagine you're paying attention to that decision since you're a lawyer.
Yeah, I paid really close attention and actually listened to like the mock argument because I know one of the lawyers who argued it. So I was really interested.
My understanding is who wrote the dissent? Who was it?
I mean the dissenters were Kavanaugh, Thomas, and the third one who's super regressive, who I can't remember right now. But yeah,
one of them wrote 100-page dissent. It's a lot of pages to say, I just still don't like gay people.
Well, I mean, lawyers are long-winded.
But anyway, I think when short story, long story, whatever, I think I realized our country sucked around the time of the Iraq War. That's really when I was like, wait, what the fuck are we doing? To me, that's really when it kind of hit me more than anything. What about you guys?
I feel like it was a slow burn. Like when we were doing that, I was like, yeah, that really sucks. And then I like, I don't know, the more I go on like, Twitter or like InfoWars or something, I'm like, there's a lot of these people out there. Like this is not like this tiny fringe movement. This is like tens of thousands of people. And I don't know. It's just like every year I realize it more and more. And now I think it really hit me recently where I'm like, we can't even rally together during a pandemic. Like,
yeah,
it's just
broken. I guess I was saying I wasn't like we invade Iraq. I was like our country sucks. It was. I mean, even going to that, I was like, why are we going to invade Iraq? Because like they didn't even attack us. And I knew kind of that didn't make any sense. And then the more I read, and the more I learned about our country's history, I was like, oh, we really. As you learn more, you're like, oh, we really fucking suck. And then it just seems like it keeps getting worse.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What about you, Peter?
Kind of like Jay. I mean, actually, somewhere between the two of you guys, because like around the Iraq War when it started, I was like, this seems just like random. Like, I mean, and ethnically, I'm from like my family's from the Middle East, so we're very familiar with like the idea of like the strong man, like Arab ruler guy. But like when Saddam Hussein was president of Iraq or leader of Iraq or whatever, like you could be gay in Iraq, you could be a Jew in Iraq, you could be a Christian in Iraq, you could be an atheist in Iraq, like openly, and you would be actually pretty safe as long as you didn't like say anything bad about him. Now I'm not saying it's like that's like hunky dory, but like, a lot of people were able to at least pretend that they had some semblance of a normal life, even though there's like a giant dictator in the back of it all. But like the stated, reason of like, oh, WMD and keep the world safe from Iraq, Saddam Hussein. I was like, I mean, really? There's so many more like terrible, awful people leading countries like North Korea, which has like nukes and, so that opened my eyes a little bit to to just the stupidity. But then like personal experiences, like as I became a lawyer and like saw more of the criminal justice system and got to see like, top to bottom, like from the police level all the way up to, the highest court, literally the U.S. Supreme Court, like just how much the chips are stacked against like actual normal average people or poor people or people that don't have, like very, very basic stuff that, a lot of us have the privilege of having. I began to realize like, that's kind of weird. And then one day I don't remember where I was, but I think it was in a national park actually. And I was like, man, this is so beautiful. And it just dawned on me that like we America, like we are the bad guys. Like we really are the bad guys. Like we are the bad guys to ourselves. We are the bad guys to the world. We are the bad guys, we'll be judged as the bad guys in the eyes of history. Like we did a bunch of really good stuff and we contributed a lot of good in the world. Like we have, I think, had a net, probably zero effect right now on the world. But I think given the trajectory we're on, it's going to be super clear in like 100 years that like America was for all the good it did, still like the worst force in the world. And that's just a really sad thing to think about, given like my family immigrated here to like come to the best country, many years ago.
So anyway, tune into the Brink of Sanity every week to find out how much America sucks. Each week we'll bring into we'll depress you more. We'll make you think, wow, maybe we should all die in COVID because it all sucks. Anyway. So Peter, if you ever get down and you want to discuss this, a good idea, I mean, you could always call us, or have you thought about calling Zappos, the shoe retailer?
That's a good idea. No, I should give them a call.
Yeah, they will. They'll listen. They'll just want to hear your problems. Have you?
Really?
So Zappos, whose business slowed down immensely during this time, started receiving phone calls from people who would just like complain about their problems, and they've decided that that's where they want to go with things. And now they have a policy: if you call Zappos about fucking anything, they're just going to talk to you. They want to help people in this time by just listening to your problems. So dead serious, you can just call Zappos just to chat, and their people are paid just to chat with you, help you through these times by just having an ear for you.
Every article you've brought up today, I would have thought was a joke.
100%. I was about to say the same thing. Completely.
It's kind of a weird world, huh?
I literally can't even tell anymore.
This is, again, dead serious. Call Zappos. They're here to hear your, just hear you commiserate about what's going on.
This is like last week with the band names.
Oh, yeah.
So have you guys ever been, just to stay on this upbeat note, have you guys ever been like arrested or had like a run-in with a cop where you were like, what the hell? Like not outside of like tickets and stuff.
No, not really. I once got pulled over for like, I got pulled over by cops and they had to give me a breathalyzer, but I passed the breathalyzer, luckily. No, I never had much of an issue. What about you guys?
I've had a bunch of run-ins. Never actually got arrested, but I've had a few close calls.
Do share, Jay.
Well, I mean, I've told the freshman year of college story.
Oh,
a few
yeah,
times,
yeah.
Where my roommate tried to frame me.
Great story.
Yeah.
There was another story where it was said that I trashed a cafeteria in one of the dorms, and cops showed up at my door. And I have no recollection of that happening. It could have happened, I guess, because I was on a 12-hour binge at that point. But I was just like, I don't know what you're talking about. And they're like, well, somebody said you did. And I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. But the one with the fire, they thought they were onto some like conspiracy and like, my lungs. If you haven't listened way back, my freshman year roommate set a dorm room on fire and he tried to pin it on me. And the cops thought they were, about to crack open some like pyro ring and, pulling all sorts of other people in the dorm into it and trying to get them all implicated in this when it was really just this one guy. So I thought that was pretty shitty that he was trying to like take down.
What's your cause? I was just doing something stupid. God damn it, we would.
Yeah, it's like the guy got paid by the head or something, and he was just trying to bring down like half the dorm. It was ridiculous.
Jesus.
So Peter, what about you?
So I'll try to keep it as short as possible. But
by the way, if you've been arrested and this is your one phone call, you're wasting it. But go on.
Oh, well, that's actually part of this story. But it was I was actually in law school. I was going to a church picnic. My mom had like baked a cake, and I had a criminal procedure book and the cake in like the passenger seat. And I was driving actually in Long Island, in Amityville, a town called Amityville, which is whatever, just a random town.
It's also like the Amityville Horror, right? Or the haunt. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It was based on a murder that happened in that town.
Yeah. Yeah. So I was like crossing a big road, and it's a speed trap, and this cop pulls me over, and his first question is, I pulled you over? And I said, no. And then his second question is, do you have drugs or guns in this car? So I was like, that's kind of a weird question. But the long and short of it, just to get to what happens is we exchange a couple of words, and not in a bad way. I'm just like, and then he's like, I could arrest you right now and rip this piece of shit car apart and to find some drugs or guns. And I asked the wrong question. So Chappelle Show style, like there's what I should have done and like what I did do. I asked the guy, being like a second-year law student, I was like, or third year, I was like, what probable cause or even reasonable suspicion would you have to do that? And the guy stops, he just takes a step back, he says, sir, get out of the car. I was like, what? And he puts his hand on his gun, and it's got that little like snap clip to keep the gun in place. He unsnaps it and puts his gun on like the holster. And he goes, sir, please don't make me ask you again. And I was like, this motherfucker's going to shoot me. And, I mean, I'm not even black. Like, I was like, this guy's
Did you say that out loud? And he was like, oh, sorry, you're tan. Anyway, go on, sir.
Yeah, no. I'm obviously making a joke now, but like, I'm thinking to myself, like, this guy really will shoot me. So I get out of the car. He handcuffs me. He puts me in the back of his squad car. I asked him as he did so, I was like, am I under arrest? He completely ignored me. And then I just sat there and I watched as he called in 2 other squad cars to arrive, one of them with 2 dogs. And I watched them literally like rip the shit out of my 1988 Nissan Maxima that was not even my car. It was my parents' car. They like pulled the spare tire out. They ripped the lining of the trunk. They like had the hood open. They were like sniffing under the car. Like they were, everything. Then the guy gets back in the car with me and we just start driving. And the only thing I could think of is like, are you just going to leave my car like that, like in the road? And he said it would be fine. He drops me off at the precinct. I am, fingerprinted and booked. The other 2 cops there just like making jokes, like at my expense the whole time. They keep trying to find out like where I work and like where I go to school. Like you could just tell like the subtext is they just want to like fuck my life up. And they put me in a jail cell, like just by myself.
Jesus.
Where I am left. And it's a Sunday at like 3 p.m. is when this all started. They put me there for 6.5 hours. Like I was there by myself for 6.5 hours. No phone call, no water, no anything, no bathroom, like nothing. which was really bizarre. Actually, you guys are like this. So I was thinking to
Wait,
myself,
there was no bathroom?
no, there was no it's like a little tiny, it's like an interrogation cell. Like I couldn't even lie down. Like
you didn't have to pee in that whole time?
no, I did really badly, but it goes away like sometimes. And that's basically which is not good, but it more or less went away. But you guys will get a kick out of this. I like noticed that the door had a small like glass window and there was a camera looking in. So I was like, I'm gonna really like fuck these guys up. I'm gonna fake a seizure. So I like crumpled. I don't know what it would be like, but I crumpled onto the floor and I just started like seizing as much as possible because I was like, I'm gonna do this, and then a year from now, I'm gonna sue them for like not getting me medical attention and ignoring my seizure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I did it, and no one came. Maybe I wasn't that convincing, but I obviously didn't sue them. Anyway, around like 9:40 p.m., yet another cop comes in, and he's like, it's your lucky day. And I'm like, why is that? He's like, well, the booking judge just stopped by the precinct on his way home from golf. We were hoping you wouldn't, and we'd get to take you to Mineola. Or I think he said Mineola. So Mineola is the site of a jail in Long Island where like murderers and rapists and like gang members, people are awaiting trial, like really dangerous people. So this guy's telling me like what he really wanted was for that to happen, like super casually. But the booking judge happened to be stopping by and was like, do you guys have anyone in lockup? And it was just me. So I go before the booking judge and he like reads the thing and he's like, how do you plead or whatever?
What was the charge?
The charges were obstructing a police officer's investigation into a potential like transportation crime. Another one was like using public office to curry favor with the police officer, because one of the things I'd said to the guy like before he told me to get out of the car, I was like, look, officer, like I'm coming from church, going to a church picnic. I'm a second-year law student. Like I'm, a former volunteer in my, town fire department. So that was based on that. And then some like random traffic charge that I had never even heard of, but they were all like.
But at what point did they say you can have a lawyer? Because they're putting you before a judge without even a lawyer.
Never. It's like never said it. Never. Literally not once, dude. There were so many kind of like hilariously unconstitutional things that like that's its own podcast.
This is a crazy story. Go on.
Yeah. So the judge is like, he reads me the 3 charges. They're all like misdemeanors, although one of them is like the highest misdemeanor, like A or something. And for the listeners who don't know, when you're in law school and you're about to like graduate, you take the bar exam. But even if you pass the bar exam, like a bunch of other people have to review you for your like moral fitness to be a lawyer, and they make you disclose like everything, like every arrest, everything. So it's like you can imagine my mind at this time is like, this guy's gonna like fuck up my career forever. Like I'm not gonna be a lawyer. So the judge reads me the charges, and I'm like, okay, well, no, not guilty. And he's like, all right, I'm going to set bail at $500. And I was like, okay, can I get like my credit card back? And he's like, son, you can't pay bail with a credit card. And I was like, okay, like, can like a police escort me to an ATM? Or he was like, no. And I was like, would a check work? He's like, no. He's like, we only take cash bail only. And I was like, okay, well, I wasn't carrying $500 to the fucking church picnic, dude. So, like, can I call someone? And he's like, yes, you get one phone call because I got to get home. So, like, he literally, like, I remember super clearly. There's one phone call because he has to get home. And
this is like just insane. Yeah, go on.
And this is like, this is just like, I mean, I said it as a joke earlier. Like, imagine if I were black. Like, this would have been about 10 trillion times more insane and terrible. But like, this is just like another day in the office for these guys. Yeah. You there?
I hear you.
Okay. Did we lose Mark?
Probably.
Oh, should we wait or should I continue? All right. Let me know when.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. So yeah, the judge had said that I would get one phone call to try to get $500 cash, and only one because he had to get home. Because like by now it was like 10:15 or something. So, my dad, typical like, immigrant, first generation dad, had told me growing up, because I was like, I did get into trouble, like a little bit when I was younger in like school and stuff. But he told me like, Peter, one day you're going to call me from jail and you're going to say, Dad, please bail me out. And I'm going to say, no, you need to learn this important lesson about personal responsibility. So I had that in the back of my head as I chose to make my phone call. And it was either my dad or my best friend at the time, who was like probably the most unreliable pothead you will ever meet. Like the truly the template for flakiness. Like this dude got expelled from our law school for a year because he forgot to remove quotation marks from some shit he copied and pasted into a legal writing brief. Like, to give you an idea of the flakiness and laziness of this guy. But I was like, I can't take the risk. This is my one phone call. I'm not calling my dad. I got to call my friend.
Oh, wow. I thought you were going to go the other way. Go on. Go.
So I called him, and by some miracle, he answered on like the second ring. And I was like, dude, it's Pete. I can't explain. Just bring $600 to the Amityville courthouse. Like, I need you to bail me out. This is $500 and $100 extra in case there are any like stupid fees or some nonsense. So he's like, done. Yeah. He comes and bails me out. I immediately pay him back. And then now I'm like grappling with like, okay, now I have like a court date and stuff and like a trial. So I'd like literally all the money I had in the bank, guys, was like maybe just like barely a couple of grand, like that I'd painstakingly saved by working during the semester and stuff, like the whole time I was in college and law school. And I like searched for a couple of lawyers, and everyone of your listeners should know, if you ever need a lawyer, like your best bet is to get a recommendation from like some other lawyer, because like if you're searching on the internet, like you have no idea what the hell you're going to get. So I met with a couple of lawyers. Like one guy truly sucked and was like desperate. And then the other guy was like really slick and just kind of confident and a little bit slimy. So I was like, all right, slimy guy it is. Like this guy has inspired some confidence in a corrupt legal system. So fast forward to the day of like the hearing or whatever. And the preliminary hearing, where this shit gets like resolved, like plea deals and stuff happen. And it's me in a suit, my lawyer in a suit, my dad in a suit, my mom in like some, nice, like, dress, like some dress or something. And everyone around us, I kid you not, it's got to be like more than 4 out of every 5 people is black or like Hispanic, like without a doubt. And none of them in a gallery of like maybe 100 people or 75 people, none of them are sitting next to lawyers. So I just watched. This judge comes out. He calls like first guy, like, Jim Nelson. He comes up. Some guy goes up there. Judge says some shit. The prosecutor says some shit. And the defense lawyer, the public defender guy, just leans over and says like, say guilty, say guilty. And the Jim Nelson guy's like, guilty. And the judge is like, okay, guilty, felony B, time served, next. And like, I watched this like maybe a dozen times. Like dudes just get up there, they plead guilty to felonies, and like they go away. And then I get called up there, and before the judge, reads my name and says the charges, and before like the judge could say another word, my lawyer goes, Your Honor, if I could just have 1 minute with the the county prosecutor, I think we could resolve this really quickly and save you and the court a lot of time. The judge is like, sure. They disappear. They walk off to the side. They disappear for, I kid you not, less than 30 seconds. They come back, and the prosecutor goes, Your Honor, after conversing with counsel, the village would like to dismiss all charges against Peter, and also apologize for the inconvenience to him and the court, blah, 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 blah. And the judge goes, well, a complete dismissal? That's unprecedented. There's some, serious charges here. And then my lawyer goes, Your Honor, Peter's very active in the community. How does 15 hours of community service, just an act of good faith, sound? Prosecutor's like, yeah, it sounds great to us. Judge is like, okay, great, dismissed. And basically after that, what would happen is if I did the 15 hours and I didn't get in trouble for a few months, the whole thing got completely expunged. When I called the court up to be like, where should I do community service? They told me to go to a golf course, a publicly owned golf course. And I went there. And the guy there, the groundskeeper, gave me a rake and just said, start raking. And I was like, which hole? And he was like, all of them. And he sent me to hole 7 to start like a quarter mile away from him. And I got there, I put my headphones on and I started raking. And the dude walked super slowly across the entire golf course to me just to tell me no music and start walking away. So I just threw the rake in the ground and I bounced. And I called like the priest in my church and I was like, can I do 15 hours community service? And he was like, sure. And I did it that way. And that's sort of the epilogue to this story. But that's the entire story with like zero embellishment. Like I mean, so that was one of the formative experiences I alluded to earlier, where I was like, wow, I really used to think that like, at that point, I used to think like most of the people who are in jail like belong in jail, and like meritocracy is like real, and like cops are by and large like okay, and the judicial system like kind of works, to ultimately have good results. But my own experience was just so fucking insane that I was just like left like numb inside about it all.
What by the way, did you ask the lawyer what he said to the other lawyer?
I did.
What did he
that's
say?
a great question. I asked him two things. I asked him what he said, and I asked him if I was like, can you give me a little bit of a refund since you only worked for 30 seconds? So to the first question, he was like, the second that guy, the prosecutor, got up there for the first case, I thought like maybe I recognized him. I wasn't sure, but as soon as I got up there, I was like, fuck it, like it's worth the risk. So when we stepped off the side, I was like, Bill, it's me, like Steve. You have a daughter, right? Oh yeah, I think we went to a party together. Anyway, look, this guy Peter is like top of his class. Like, he could sue your police department. Like, we can go to the media. We could like really fuck this up. And these charges are just bullshit by some like, high school educated cop. So like, can we please just both of us have better shit to do? And the guy was like, yeah, I know. I thought so. I didn't really have a chance to look at the file, but I thought so. Sure.
Holy fuck.
And that was it.
What was this, by the way? Did he give you any reduction in fee?
He did.
Really asked us that? Oh, cool.
He gave me I think the full fee for him, like flat fee, was like $2,500, which was literally pretty much everything I had. And he gave me $500 back, and he said, I'll give it to you on a condition. If you ever see my name in a ballot, vote for me. And if any of your friends ever get in trouble, send them my way. And neither of those things occurred because I moved and none of my friends got in trouble. But yeah, that was literally, he was like laughing, and I was like, that's crazy. And he's like, yeah, man. He's like, that's how it is. Like, imagine if all those other people who got up ahead of me who like had $2,500, like what other outcomes would have resulted from it. I mean, like the only reason prosecutors and the criminal justice system can put so many people in jail, like an industry, is because so many people like take plea deals. It's like when, remember when like the recording industry started suing people for downloading like torrented MP3 stuff?
Yeah.
Like the second one of those people was like not going to take their like, $500 or $100 settlement, the second they were like, no, let's take this to trial, the recording industry shut it down. And the criminal justice system works more or less the same way. It relies on people just getting up there and taking these retarded plea deals, when if they actually just like, if everyone just stopped and were like, no, take us to trial, they would be overwhelmed.
But literally no one in the audience can afford to do that because they're all like poor people, basically the poor people who cannot afford this. Whole thing's pretty fucked up.
Yeah. Yeah. Most Americans can't afford it. But it showed me personally, I mean, I don't, like, we give these people who have high school educations barely, guns and like complete authority to take life with like no ramifications. They get their pension even if they kill people and go to jail themselves. Like if they beat up someone while they call them the N-word, they don't pay a penny out of their pockets like the city does forever. And they get like half the training as like hairstylists in most states. And like people are like, I can't believe these protests are getting out of hand. Like, dudes, my guys, like the $6 billion budget of the NYPD is bigger than the budget of like 60 countries. So like, put that all together and like, yeah, it's a freaking nightmare for anyone who's not like white and privileged, which is really most of this country.
Wow. That's, stories like that is why cops get such a bad name. I mean, so you got out of it, but you ended up having to pay thousands of dollars and doing hours of community service, and you didn't even do anything.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess obviously we weren't there, but basically it sounds like from your story, the cop was just kind of being a dick because you were not respecting his authority.
Yeah.
I mean,
I said one wrong thing.
There was,
by the way,
Long Island cops are a lot of them do that though. Like I was pulled over, I can't even dozens of times just driving around, because if you drive around on the weekend, they randomly pull you over just to see if they can catch you on something.
well, that was the whole that's the broken window system in New York City, where they just instead of your car, it's if you're a minority basically in what you're if you live in certain parts of New York City, they just pull you over all the time because they want to make sure you're not committing a crime.
Mm-hmm.
But Peter, what happened to your car, by the way?
It was left exactly where it was. So when I got bailed out, and they gave me my things back, like my phone and my wallet, and they gave me back my car keys. And my friend drove me. I was like, "Can you take me to the car first?" And it was just sitting there on the side of this road. Like, I was surprised I didn't have a parking ticket, to be honest with you, because it was definitely just like randomly in the road. But I guess even the cops aren't that bad to drive back there and give me a parking ticket.
Did you think of taking any action against the police?
Yeah, I did. But when you like I was, my last year of law school, and you have to like disclose all this information to the bar in your application, even after you pass it. And one of the things that you have to disclose are like lawsuits that you recently brought. So I was like, let me, think about it. And I had a job lined up, and I was like, you know what? It's better to let sleeping dogs lie. But Jay, you said something earlier, which I thought was interesting, because you were like, it's part of why like cops get like a bad name. Like you wouldn't have gotten out of this if you didn't have a couple of $1,000 to spend. But you know what? The story, even though I didn't do anything wrong, and I like justice demanded that I get out of it, the way I got out of it was so sleazy and slimy that it also like separately undermined my own faith in the system. Like if the system could be like, I mean, what if the charges were more severe? Like what if I really did do some bad shit?
Or what if your lawyer didn't know the guy?
Yeah.
The lawyer BS'd his way out of it, basically. Yeah.
I mean, like all these things, like justice should be a little bit more objective. It shouldn't depend on like, how much money you have, like the slickness of your lawyer, like the ability for the BS to be bought, like, connections that he may have or may not have with like the prosecutor. Like it's just weird and scary. And I mean, I know justice is imperfect in like, everywhere, but it's like really, really imperfect here. And definitely varies based on your resources and ability to just like find a good lawyer.
Should we move to the show to a lighter note?
I think we should.
Yeah, that was actually a great story, and we could keep talking about it, but we could also move to a lighter note just to lighten the show up. That was
yeah.
That's pretty goddamn messed up. By the way, do you guys know that the world is ending?
Yeah.
Just from like looking outside, or remember a bunch of years ago when the Mayans predicted the world was going to end?
Mm-hmm.
Well, apparently some people have recalculated how the Mayans figured this out, and they were apparently off by 8 years, and so they think the world is actually going to end this year.
I think people are just saying that to fit the narrative.
No, why not? Why can't it end this year? It looks like it's going to end.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. It's just like they were 8 years off. Like that doesn't.
Every 8 years, they'll just say the world's going to end again. But there was an article about the Mayans ending the world. So anyway, on a more light note, we decided, Bry's not here, but Jay, myself, and Peter, that we are going to be movie producers. We have pitches for movies. We're going to present our pitches using other people on the show, and we're going to see which idea is best to get greenlit. Is that a fair way to describe it, guys?
Yeah.
Yes.
So, for example, before I go into my ideas and everyone else's ideas, I propose this idea as a top 5, and my idea, we're going to use, I propose a movie where Bry would be in a zombie apocalypse where everyone's going around being eaten by zombies, but Bry is the essential worker, and he must make it to the office every day to open the mail in case any checks arrive. Where a scene would include, hey boss, I think this is actually the end of the world. Is it cool if I come in every other day during the zombie apocalypse? So that was my general idea. Is come up with a movie using other people in the show, and the other people in the show will, each of us will pick the best idea from each person. Okay. So Jay, you want to start us off with a movie prediction or movie pitch?
Sure. So this takes place in the 1800s.
Okay.
And Marc is a plantation owner.
Right.
And all his servants and slaves have an uprising because of Marc's unfair wages and treatment. You like that one, Marc?
No, I thought you were going to go more. That was the whole idea?
It's kind of like, it's kind of like, a revolution type of movie where they can't stand it anymore and they start a coup. And you got to defend yourself against they're all trying to break into your mansion, and you got to try and defend yourself.
Is this somehow directed by like Quentin Tarantino? And I'm the white devil slave owner, and everyone like is going to have the uprising against me in a cool, slick Tarantino type of way.
Yeah.
Okay,
I like it.
Okay, not bad. Peter, what's your first idea?
Can I say first though that this was like the most fun I've had just coming up with these ideas in quite a while. So thank you for this
awesome
incredible prompt. So our idea one is a movie called Work Hates Jay Infinitely. So
it's based on a true story.
Yeah. Or it's potentially a future story. So Jay hates his job. He applies for several new jobs. He finds one that is like super interesting. He interviews there, gets the offer, and he accepts. Gives his notice to his current job. He's really excited, and he goes to this new job. And despite it being in a totally different building in a totally different part of town, it is exactly the same job. The same people are there, the same colleagues, the same bosses. It's the exact same company. He tries to ask like what's going on and explain what happened, but no one believes him at all. Hesitantly, he applies for another job in a completely different field, totally different state. He gets the job. It goes really well. He's like, all right, it's going to be totally all right. Like whatever the hell happened will not happen again. And he shows up for the new job. And again, it is the exact same job, the same people, the same boss, the same everything. And the movie ends with Jay realizing that he is stuck in an infinite loop and he is in fact living in hell.
Do they recognize me each time?
Yeah. Each time they're just like, oh, hey, Jay. And you go back to the same desk. Everything is exactly the same.
This was a really good. Also, another title for your movie could have been Groundhog Jay.
Oh God, I can't believe I missed that. That's perfect.
I like it.
That was a really good one. That Jay, I liked your idea. Peter's idea is better so far.
Yep.
There's a man who cannot take it. I haven't titled this one yet, but there's a man who cannot take it anymore. He's at his wit's end. He wants to be out. He wants to get out of the city, but he can't afford it. He's got neighbors. His name is Jay, and he has neighbors from hell. Loud music like every day Cinco de Mayo from above. Neighbor below is practicing to become a professional boxer. Talk radio blast during the day. Jay cries from all the noise, and he can't sleep. He's losing his mind. Complaining to his neighbors doesn't work anymore. He left notes before. It's not working. He breaks down, and he finds his landlord. And he says, landlord, this is untenable. I cannot take all the noise from above and below, and I cannot take it. And the landlord is confused. He's like, are you? I'm sorry. Are you just joking around? Is this your weird sense of humor? And Jay's like, no, these neighbors, they're so loud. Jay, you're the only one that lives there. The building's been abandoned besides you the whole time. And then Jay finds out the building is haunted. All the neighbors are really from hell. And Jay now must battle with the dead to finally get some peace and quiet. Ghostbusters Part 5, Annoying Apparitions in Astoria.
Wow. How is it possible that two of the first three stories involve Jay being stuck in hell?
I feel like there's more of those to come.
Yes.
And Marc, just a teaser for later. That story is not that different in some ways from what one mind coming up later.
I am wondering if we're going to cross stories. I mean, we're all basically working off the same source material here.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Jay, you're up.
All right. In a world. No, this is.
I kind of wanted to do the voice for all this, but yeah, go on.
This is probably later this year. There's riots. Maybe there's some zombies. There's people shooting each other in the streets. It's literally the end of the world. Bry's excited. He's like, finally, my time has come. I'm going to finally die. Walks out, arms open. Nobody touches him. He's walking through riot zones. He's walking through gangs and trying to get killed. And nobody's bothering him at all. And he's getting more and more pissed off. And the whole movie is just Bry trying to end it all, and nobody's killing him.
Wow.
Is Bry already dead? Doesn't realize it, or?
No. He's just Bry, and he's been waiting to die. He's been waiting for this moment, and it's the end of the world, and everybody's dying, and he just can't.
Like he's the only. His hell is like buildings are falling and just missing him. People are shooting guns and just missing him.
Yeah, I mean, there's hundreds of millions of people are dying, and Bry just can't seem to get offed.
Dude, I love that so much. And again, teaser for just the first line of a later story. For me, Bry unknowingly immune to all forms of coronavirus. And then the story goes on. So there's definitely going to be a lot of thematic overlap, I think.
Peter, go with that story. Your turn. Go.
All right, I'll go with that story. So it's called the Legend of Stickman.
Bry, my next one's Stickman also. Go on.
Bry, knowingly immune to all forms of coronavirus, continues to wonder why he is not getting sick despite going to work daily and open-mouth kissing everyone in his local hospital ICU. He heads home one night when he notices something kind of weird. There's a stick lodged in his door. He knows this is obviously the work of Stickman, and he walks into his house cautiously. But alas, there's nothing there. Everything seems fine. Wakes up, goes to work the next day, and of course, being the first one in the office every day, he is astonished to find another stick in the door, this time of his office. But again, there's nothing actually wrong in the office. As his days goes on, and he drives to restaurants and places that he normally visits, the supermarket, he sees more and more sticks lodged in more and more doors that he, in his normal life, accesses. So he goes to the casino. There's a stick in the door. He goes to the other casino. There's a stick in the door. He goes to his girlfriend's house. There's a stick in the door. He goes to the medium, the ghost lady's house that he knows. There's a stick in her door too. And no one has any idea how the sticks got there when he asks them. And it's just driving Bry slowly insane. So one day he goes home. There's a stick in his door. He just kicks it away and he just says, fuck it, I'm going to get drunk. He starts drinking, and he's really annoyed that he hasn't gotten coronavirus. When he starts stumbling and he passes out, and he doesn't make it to his bed. He just stumbles right ahead of the bed, and he falls down. He opens his eyes, he rubs his eyes, and as his eyes and his vision comes into focus, he sees under his bed hundreds of sticks organized in stacks, and he realizes that he is, in fact, Stickman.
Oh, so it's like Bry meets Fight Club.
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome. I like it. I like it a lot.
You guys did really long synopsises for your movies.
Well, Jay, some of us prepare. But anyway, go on, Jay.
It's actually your turn, Mark.
Okay, so it's my turn. Okay, my next movie is called Single White Stickman. Something odd is going on in Bry's life. Bry's girlfriend breaks it to him that she's been sleeping with Stickman. Bry's boss breaks it to him he's no longer essential as they've hired Stickman to open the mail. Bry's casino says there's no more comps for him anymore because Stickman has used them all up. Bry's dad has started calling Stickman son and announces plans to tour the country checking out baseball stadiums with Stickman. Bry, having reached his bottom, is on a mission to reclaim his life from Stickman. With the help of Ghost Dog, Bry will fight to reclaim his life, convince everyone that Stickman is a jerk and does not actually live in his complex. The epic final battle takes place in Stickman's gym.
Was there a training montage?
Yeah, of course.
Has to be.
I like
Jay,
it.
what's your one sentence idea?
All right, so Mark is his life is crumbling. He gets fired from his job. His wife's thinking about a divorce. His friends have distanced themselves from him. So he's sitting in his basement, and he looks down and he sees his ants, and he starts talking to his ants.
God damn it!
And he realizes that his ants are responding, and that he can command the ants. And so he unleashes his revenge by gathering together an army of ants. He kills his boss with covering them in ants. It's basically the movie Willard with ants.
Yeah, I figured it was Willard. I thought it was Dr. Dolittle, but you went like kind of dark on this. I figured it was Willard.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
God damn it!
Peter, did you have one based on Willard, or is it a slight variation?
My next pitch is for King of the Ants.
Is this like King of the Hill?
No, more like, yeah. It has. You'll see what the comparisons are. So, after decimating multiple generations of ant colonies simply trying to make a living, the ant queen, her forces depleted, issues an edict: as we cannot overwhelm Marc, we must recruit him and make him one of our own. So all the smartest ants are enlisted to develop a shrink ray, and through a ton of hard work, one day they're able to build it and deploy it. And Marc is shrunk to an ant-sized person and is invited, at first openly, and then taken by force back to the colony. While he is angry and perplexed at first, he rejects the little pieces of sugar and crumbs that they are offering him. He is eventually persuaded. The ants show him a slideshow of how humans have oppressed ants for ages, showing him footage of people shining magnifying glasses on ant colonies, stepping on ants for no reason, even gassing them. They showed him even footage of his own exterminator taking extraordinarily lethal measures to kill the ants. After watching all this footage, Marc is moved, and he is persuaded by the ant queen to join ranks and serve as king of the ant colony. Resigned to his fate, he agrees to serve as king, but he struggles with one important question. Should he shrink his family to be with him, or should he seek out and embrace his true destiny as king of the ants and declare war on humankind?
Do I get to sleep with the queen ant if I don't shrink my family?
Yeah, I think that's we could work that out.
Okay. That was a great. Jay, why can't your ideas be like Peter's? Come on, Jay.
Making me look bad.
It's crazy how similar they are, man. Jeez.
It is. Okay, so it was an ordinary day in Bry's house. He had some chili. The night before and was heading to do his business in the bathroom. But today was no ordinary day. Bry took off his shirt, as he does, sat down on his throne, the toilet, and was blasted by a bidet that had been rigged to kill him. Bry goes flying off the seat, the toilet, and it results in Bry hitting his head. The brain injury causes Bry to be convinced that the only time he wears a shirt is when he's going to the bathroom. Now shirtless, Bry, who thinks being shirtless is the appropriate wear everywhere but the bathroom, with the help of a psychic we can't seem to get on the podcast, will search to find out who rigged Bry's bidet and tried to take him out. Spoiler alert, it may have been his secretary who's goddamn tired of Bry saying she has been faking being sick.
I like that.
Nice.
Jay, you're up. Jay, you're up.
All right. So Bry goes to get his morning coffee. He looks over, slow motion, zooms in on this girl. Perfect 10. She's enamored with him. She for some reason thinks that Bry is God's gift to men, and she spends the rest of her days trying to pursue Bry, and Bry has no interest because Bry just seems to have no interest in beautiful women. And the whole movie is just this woman's pursuit of Bry, and Bry's just total lack of caring about anything about her. It's like Bry said he always wanted to be in a rom-com, so that it's kind of like a rom-com that doesn't work out because Bry just doesn't care. He's just going about his day trying to get sick at his office and go to the casino, and she's following him around trying to woo him.
Does he just not understand her signals that she's trying to come on to him, or he just not care that she's trying
He
to come
gets
on
it.
to him?
She's just like, Bri, I want you. He's like, yeah, but I don't care.
But Bri, me and all my friends want to have a quad fivesome with you, but I'm tired.
Yeah, I was gonna rewatch Veep for the 4th time, and you're bothering me.
God, I mean, I guess like you could do me roadhead, but I am just I just got this car. Could you please just leave me alone right now? I'm trying to drive.
Yeah, that's the whole movie.
Peter.
Okay, this one is similar to one that you did, your second one, Mark.
Yeah.
It's called The Neighbor Upstairs. So Jay finally breaks and decides to stalk the neighbor upstairs and perform what he expects to be the perfect crime. He will take out this person once and for all. So he begins studying this guy's routines really closely, learning where he works, where he shops. He carefully, very carefully, extracts some black mold and puts it in a little glass container that he intends to deposit in his neighbor's apartment to slowly and painfully kill him as the mold colonies, proliferate. So he goes upstairs when he knows the neighbor is away. He breaks into the apartment and he makes a shocking discovery. His neighbor is apparently harboring an alien. There is a weird creature that has all its limbs tied with these very, special arm cuff type things. And he makes eye contact with this weird alien. And this alien, as soon as it spots Jay, lets out this tortured cry. Jay's instinct is to flee, but something about the cry just weirdly drew him there. He also notices as he gets closer to the alien that there's all these weird speakers, like a big sound system around the alien that doesn't make any sense at all, just like aimed at it. So he gets closer and closer, and he hears the alien say something, and Jay identifies himself as, I'm Jay, and the creature begins making noises again, and Jay realizes that it's actually not just tortured noise, it's speaking English, and it can communicate. It says, who are you? And Jay, with no option at all, starts talking. The two quickly strike up a friendship, and the alien explains to Jay that his upstairs neighbor isn't just a loud asshole, but he's been torturing this alien and keeping it trapped through some kind of sophisticated speaker sound resonance system that gets loud every night from 11 p.m. to the morning. So it's not just a loud sound system. It's actually the means by which this alien is locked up. Jay thinks that, forget the perfect crime. This is something bigger, and he agrees to break him out. He kicks down the speakers. He rips off the handcuffs and the arm cuffs, and the alien is free. Sadly, as soon as the alien is free, it reaches into its back pocket and it removes a little controller, and it presses a button and immediately contacts other aliens who are hiding somewhere in the solar system. They quickly descend on Earth, and the true plot is revealed. They all intend to kill and enslave all humans and take all the planet's resources. It turns out that Jay's upstairs neighbor was the only person stopping that.
Not bad at all.
Kind of Twilight Zone-y.
Yeah. I like the twist. Speaking of twists, in a weird twist of fate, Jay's public access show has become the all-time most popular show in Saudi Arabia. In our movie, Saudis Love Jay, the people of Saudi Arabia think Jay is their Seinfeld, their Conan, and they want to lavish him with riches. He will be able to sell out arenas performing sketches from the late 90s. Will Jay accept the offer to come and live in Saudi Arabia and become their greatest living legend? Will Jay accept the opportunity to become rich beyond his wildest dreams? Will he do so if it means making the greatest sacrifice he could ever make? Chatterbait is banned in Saudi Arabia, so Jay must choose between riches, fame, and Chatterbait.
What do you choose, Jay?
Really thinking about this one. Do I have to live in Saudi Arabia?
You got to live there. You're going to spend your whole life there. You'll get a house. You mean you're going to be they're gonna love. I guess my movie's almost a would you rather, but Jay, you're gonna live in Saudi Arabia. You're gonna be rich there. You're gonna have all the things that rich people have there, and they're gonna adore you. Of course, you have to live in Saudi Arabia, live under their laws, and not violate their laws, and no chatterbait for you. We're really poor, and they might have no porn at all. Actually,
couldn't you just like fly in these girls like the Saudi princes do at that point? Just like
that's what I was thinking. Yeah.
But if you're not a prince, and maybe if you're not a prince, that gets you killed.
Mm.
I don't know what the laws are there. No one seems to know.
Are there laws there?
Who the fuck knows? By the way, Peter? What part of the Middle East is your family from?
Egypt.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Jay, so what are you gonna do? You gonna go to Saudi Arabia?
I think I do. Yeah.
Okay. Jay, last idea.
All right. So it's later this year. Another virus has been unleashed. Only
God.
The weird side effect of this virus is that it killed all the black bean crops. Marc finds out that there's one black bean plant on the other side of the country. So him and Bri go on a road trip to get to the last of the black beans. Bri doesn't even like black beans, but he's bored and figures he might die on the way. So he goes with Marc.
It's like a planes, trains, and automobiles kind of thing, but with, well, I guess road trip for.
I was thinking either road trip or Howard and Kumar.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, except for in this, instead of going to White Castle, I'm looking for a black bean and Bri's looking for death.
Yes. So a little bit darker.
It's always a little bit darker on our show. Peter?
Okay. This one is called Lost in New Holland, which Australia used to be called Lost in New Holland. So
Australia used to be called Lost in New Holland?
Just New Holland, sorry. But the movie we called Lost in New Holland.
Okay.
So for the 1000th episode of Brink of Sanity, the Patreon has finally raised enough money to send the gang to Australia to meet some fans and celebrate the 25th anniversary of podcasting. The group is very excited. As soon as they arrive, they realize that there are some luggage issues. Marc's luggage arrives normally, but Bri finds out that his luggage is delayed, and Jay's are immediately confirmed to be lost forever. So they decide to part ways. Marc just is eager to get a cab to the resort, so he just says, I'm going to grab a cab and go to the resort. And Jay and Bri decide that they need to file like luggage claims and plan to get a separate cab. So they do, and then they get in a cab, and Jay says, look, I need to go to a store and like buy some clothes, but Bri says, no, I'm not, don't drag me to that, just drop me off at a casino. So Jay drops him off at a casino. So now all three of this gang are in Australia and completely separated. Jay cannot find a store that he likes, so he asks the cab driver to just drop him off at a big national park so he could like walk around and just, chill out. And here's how the rest of the story goes. Jay gets lost immediately playing Pokemon Go and ends up stumbling onto a Aboriginal reservation. He joins the Aboriginal tribe, becomes one of them, and he spends the rest of his days tripping on peyote and becoming one with the trans-dimensional fractal oneness for eternity. Bri gets extremely wasted. He's stumbling around the casino. Eventually, doesn't even realize he goes out of the casino and he stumbles into a comedy club. And he keeps stumbling until he falls onto the stage. He gets up and just starts riffing. And someone happens to be recording it as this happens. And he gets discovered and becomes a globally renowned comic billionaire sensation, making more money than Seinfeld. Marc, it turns out, got into a dispute with the Uber driver who picked him up at the beginning. And they were debating and arguing for the entire drive. Unbeknownst to them, they continued driving around Australia even as hours passed. Marc insisted he knew and remembered exactly where the resort was, but the Uber driver insisted on his memory of where the resort was. And they continued driving, talking, and neither of them are ever heard from again.
Not bad. I like it.
That's the last one.
Mine is a sequel to a current movie, or not current movie, a movie that's been out before. The Truman Show, Part 2. Jay stars as Truman's son in a world where he is on a reality show and everyone else is the actor. Everyone else is an actor besides Jay, as in the first Truman Show. Viewers watch as Jay is made more miserable day by day by actors playing bosses to him and actors playing awful neighbors. Everything is going fine until Jay realizes it is not possible to have gotten an MBA and a CPA and still be unable to get a new job. He starts to suspect the whole world is fake and is convinced of it when his boss lets it slip. She knows he cuts his toe hair. Jay starts to suspect his whole life is a setup. Was he purposely placed in an insurance office full of Asian women in order to make him attracted to Asian women? Did his friends purposely pull out a brunchaholics, a $1 million idea because viewers preferred to see Jay fail? Jay must now seek the truth while trying to find an outlet for his CPAP machine so he can finally get some goddamn sleep.
Well, you just threw them all in there.
Wow. Yeah. I like that.
I went for the whole shebang. Yeah. I actually had one more. I could never keep the 5. I had one more smaller idea. Do you remember there's a movie called Yesterday that came out pretty recently, like last year or two?
Like what if the Beatles never existed or something like that?
Yeah. So it's like, and the guy, what is it? He starts singing Beatles songs and like he's famous because no one knows the Beatles.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the same concept. Similarly, Jay starts pretending he wrote all the songs that the band Yellow Kitty Cats wrote. Yellow Kitty Cats is the band. Jay has 30 of their albums. He's seen them in concert 40 times. He loves them. The twist of the movie being that this all takes place in our current world. Jay starts singing their songs, and everyone just assumes they're Jay's songs because no one's ever heard of a fucking goddamn band Jay loves.
Oh, that's awesome.
Okay, so let's pick the let's go with Peter. Peter, what were your 5 ideas? Oh, sorry, let's go with Jay first. You are Jay. Briefly, what were your 5 ideas?
All right, we had Marc as the plantation owner with the uprising.
Yeah.
We had Bry with the end of the world, where he keeps trying to die and can't. Marc with his army of ants. We had the rom-com where Bry is not interested, and the road trip with Marc and Bry to get black beans.
I am going to go with the road trip because I just think the adventures Bry and I would have going for a bean, and with Bry the whole time being like, hey, let's stop here, man. I can get coronavirus here. Peter, which idea are you going to greenlight?
I like them all a lot. I especially like the Bry and the end of the world, and I like how almost all of the Bry stories that Jay came up with involve Bry avoiding some kind of duty or obligation completely, or just being impervious to the world or forces around him. But yeah, I would go for road trip of the 5.
Okay.
It's too funny imagining it.
Jay, if you don't mind making this movie and have it ready for next week. Okay, Peter, what are your 5 ideas again? Just briefly.
Groundhog Jay. So Jay just keeps, working whatever. King of the Ants. The Legend of Stickman. The Neighbor Upstairs, and Lost in New Holland.
I will go with Groundhog Jay because I love the idea that Jay keeps showing up and finding out it's the exact same job and the exact same job again.
Yeah,
Sorry, Jay.
I like that one too.
Okay. My 5 ideas were there was annoying apparitions in Astoria, where Jay finds out his neighbors are all ghosts. Single white stickman, where stickman is stealing Bry's life. The brain injury where Bry ends up wearing no shirt everywhere, but in the bathroom when he has to put a shirt on, and his bidet was rigged. The other idea, 4th one was Saudis Love Jay, and the 5th one was Truman Show Part 2.
Did you have a favorite, Peter?
I really do like Apparitions of Astoria. I just like, because I like horror movies and creepy stuff, and that one's just so funny.
Jay?
Yeah, I'm torn with that or Single White Stickman.
That was my second choice too. That was really good.
I'm gonna go with the first one just because of the plot twist.
Okay, cool. Cool. That was our. Let's do some quick Facebook questions, and I think that'll our show will be over. But we went from a very serious start to the show to a hopefully humorous, more light part for the second part of the show.
Mm-hmm.
Andrew writes, Will sports distracting everyone bring sanity to the U.S.? Peter, what do you think? Will sports help everyone?
No.
Jay?
No, definitely not. In fact, I feel like they're going to start up, and then like LeBron's going to get coronavirus, and then the NBA is going to shut back down again, and that'll be it.
Did you you've heard that Kyrie Irving said the players shouldn't return to play right now because this will distract from, I guess, the movement, the protests? What do you guys think of that?
I think it's great that the guy who's getting paid either way because he's out with an injury is trying to get other people to not play.
Peter, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree with Jay. But I think it's kind of a goofy argument.
Well, would it change your mind if you also knew that Kyrie Irving voted the week prior to have the NBA return, even though the protests were going on a week prior also?
It's not surprising at all.
Why doesn't he just say, hey, we're going to use I have a lot of money. I'm going to help this movement with the money, and I'm glad we're coming back so we can all help the movement with money. Andrew writes, are all the riots the result of the existence of social media?
No, but they definitely didn't help.
Didn't help or did help?
Well, I mean, they helped if you want riots.
No, but I'm saying like they also, I mean, they help in the sense, well, I guess they help the protest. They help spread the protest in many ways. And also social media, not social media, like the fact that George Floyd's video is pretty much everywhere.
Yeah.
That kind of helps. I don't know. Peter, is social media more or less evil than you think America is?
More, much more.
Social media is horrible.
Yeah.
Liam writes, Marc, considering everything is going on with the riots and with COVID-19, how it changes society and the business, what would you recommend your children now to study, or what do you recommend they do for a living to ensure they don't live with you when they're 30? Even though they're my kids, what do you guys recommend my kids do so they don't end up living with them when they're 30?
I think engineering is probably a good bet. Like, I have an electrical engineering background that I don't really use, but I think engineering is really good.
That sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
Jay, what about any recommendations?
Yeah, like learn a trade, or maybe like an electrician or something like that. They could start making money right out of high school.
That makes sense too. What about find something you love and do that job you love?
Yeah, that's fairy tale stuff.
Complete bullshit.
Yeah.
Liam writes, have you guys seen what is going on in Seattle? The 6 blocks taken over by rioters. Sorry, guys, I have voted Democrat my whole life, but after this, no way. One day they're looting stores. The next day they're looting your house. Marc, your first one they would go after. Also, due to your privilege, imagine a bunch of Stevens mad as hell, getting away with anarchy and destruction, using all the protests for their own selfish motives. How the hell will I protect myself from a bunch of Stevens? Dude, get me weapons fast. I'm heading to Texas. So if you can find a question there. Have you guys followed what's going on in Seattle with the 6 blocks taken over?
That's insane. Uh-huh. That is just crazy.
Peter, what do you think of that whole thing?
I mean, I'm not that troubled by it or anything like that. I think it's it's still very much like a demonstration. And I think just like with the looting, even though there was not a ton of it, the media was like, oh my God, this looting. Like the media just needs some sort of narrative to sink its teeth into. So like now it's, Chaz or Chop or whatever the hell they call it now. That's like the thing. And I'm sure if you turned on Fox News or something, they'd be like, the end of America. But to the Facebook questioner, like, I have no idea what Democrats have to do with this. Like, I wish Democrats were like 1/10 is actually like, competent as the people who oppose them think they are. Because all these motherfuckers are doing is wearing like kente cloths and shit. Like that's not setting up an autonomous zone in Seattle, guys.
Liam writes, Tesla stock is at $1,008 a share. AMD stock is $61 a share, and NVIDIA is $380 a share. How does this make Jason feel?
It's another good example of work hates Jay.
Jay had to sell stocks because his work made him sell his stocks. I believe Jay used to own AMD at like $20 a share, Jay?
Yeah, and I had a bunch of them.
That I don't think you never had Tesla or NVIDIA, did you?
No, but I very well could have.
This guy, I think, is the same guy who told us we should buy Tesla at like $250 a share.
Yeah.
Yeah. Peter, you does your company I guess can you own individual stocks, or does your company prevent you from doing that?
No, I can.
Okay.
Yeah.
You happen to own any of these stocks?
You guys may remember, like, the very first time I was in the show, I told you I bought several Bitcoin, like, right in the beginning, and then just kind of lost them.
Yeah.
I remembered at some point in my, like, I have a small stock portfolio. Like, at some point a few years ago, I did buy, like, I don't know, like 10 or 20 shares of Tesla. So I think that probably is appreciated a lot, but I'm very, like, hands off with that. I just assume that, you know, the longer you, like, don't look at it or think about it, the better in the long run it'll be. So yeah. I have like a few shares of Tesla. That's the only thing that I've got.
What if you had like a bunch of shares of like Polaroid? You're like, I'm not going to look at it. I'm sure that'll be fine. I was just thinking about, like, there's certain things I've just gone out of. Like, if you were like a wallpaper salesman, you would, like, at some point you'd be like, I'm set. I am the king of wallpaper in Long Island. And then that shit went away. Or if you're like an encyclopedia salesman, that shit just went away. It's weird how just jobs just go away. I don't know.
What do you think? What job do you think exists now that will 100% not exist in like 10 years?
Just one more to answer your question in a second. But I heard someone mentioned whiteout the other day, and I was like, whiteout? Has that been purchased in America in the last decade? Remember, whiteout used to be a big thing, and now no one uses whiteout anymore. I don't know, unless you guys use whiteout.
They have
whiteout.
They have like a whiteout like strip now that works way better than the liquid stuff.
Oh, because that liquid stuff, like, the person who invented that was probably rich beyond belief. But what will be gone in 10 years? Us. Let's see. Jay, any idea of what things that will be gone in 10 years? What jobs?
I wonder if we're still going to have, like, Blu-rays and stuff.
Like media? Like physical media?
Yeah, I wonder if everything's just going to go digital. Like,
I have to think that's going to happen. I don't think you're going to be buying, like, physical media anymore. I think everything will be online.
Because I was getting my sister, like, a season of Impractical Jokers every year for her birthday.
Yeah.
And I was up to like season 6 or something, and I couldn't find it. And I looked up one of the Impractical Jokers on Twitter, and somebody asked him about it. And he's like, how come season 6 isn't out? And he goes, nobody buys Blu-ray anymore.
Yeah. I think Blu-ray is a technology that never really hit. Like, it was never as big as they expected that to be, because it's just not that much better.
Well, it was too much. Like, they came out with DVDs, and then they came out with HD DVDs, and then they came out with Blu-ray, and everyone's like, I don't even know what to buy.
Yeah, and no one can really, like, you go to the store, you're like, I guess that's better.
Yeah.
I mean, do you think, like, with everything being delivered, do you think, like, a lot of stores will just go away? I mean, I kind of think they will.
Yeah, I'm wondering what's going to happen in general to real estate. Like, companies like mine, are they going to be like, do I really need to rent out 10 floors in the World Trade Center for millions of dollars a month, where I can just mail everybody a laptop and have them work from home?
Totally.
And if they don't, let's just say, like, your company, like, says we only need 5 floors, and a bunch of companies all, like, do that. Who takes the other floors? Do those things stay empty, or how do they get repurposed?
I think they're going to have to significantly lower the rents.
I would think so. Do you think will I guess the World Trade Center tower there, or I guess will things get so shitty that Brink can afford office space there?
We get a penthouse in the World Trade Center.
They're like, it's kind of, I don't know. We just get plugs in the show, and that's really all we charge them.
Funny.
Peter, any ideas of things that will go away?
I don't know. I think a lot of, like, store clerks will probably go away. Hopefully cops mostly go away. But I don't know. There's something.
Do Do you think store clerks in some ways will make a comeback of like useful store clerks? Like your store, like to get people to go to your store, you can't just sell stuff. You have to have people who's knowledgeable, or else why am I going to the store? If I go to the store and I feel like I'm talking to people who are real experts, and there's lots of people to help me, then I feel better about going to the store. I don't know. That's like this is obviously not in the future. Oh, God fucking damn it! You guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. I remember when we first were having a child. We went into Bye Bye Baby, and we went into I think it was Babies R Us. You go to Babies R Us, no one's there to help you. You can't even find a person to help you. There's everything. Everything's there to buy, but you can't find a single person to help you. You go into Bye Bye Baby, you feel like every person you talk to is like a certified expert in babies and can tell you everything you need about a baby. And it felt just so much more comforting to talk to someone who can like kind of help you instead of like Babies R Us. Everything was the exact same price without the help. And Babies R Us is now out of business. But I wonder if that's to be more of the experience. Like there has to be something that get you to go into the store, and talking to people who are like real experts will get you to go in the store.
Right.
I really do think that rich people or people, with a little bit of money, like, are going to have stores with clerks. And I think that unfortunately, like, in other areas that are less like resourced, they're going to have like less and less options. So I think for the most part, the same people who have a lot of privilege now are going to have stores, but I think things are going to get a lot more threadbare for a lot of people, I think.
So Peter, you're saying I get to keep my stores, right? With the clerks?
I mean, yeah, someone who has a mansion, I think, has nothing to worry about.
Yeah, okay, so, cool. I just want to make sure, as long as it doesn't affect me, it's fine.
Yeah.
Did you guys hear about that lady at the bagel store that coughed on the other customers there?
No.
Yeah, well, I did because you sent me the video. But go on, Jay.
Yeah, I get Peter. You didn't hear about that? It was actually a bagel store 2 avenues over from me, and there's a rule: you have to go into stores with a mask on. And this lady decided not to, and one of the people online told her she needs to wear a mask, and she called the lady online a pussy. And then when she got her bagel, she ran over to the lady and coughed in her face. And
holy shit!
So somebody was actually filming this, and I saw it go online on Twitter, and I love watching these things develop in real time because you see the video go up, you see everyone start sharing it, and then you just see her information start popping up. They posted her Facebook, her Instagram, her LinkedIn. They found her phone number and address and like her full name, and you just see like her life just ending in real time.
Is it like? I mean, first of all, I'm glad that happened to her.
I mean,
by the way,
she works in healthcare.
It's amazing.
That's completely nuts. The lady who yelled at the guy doing the chalk outside his house. Did you guys see that?
Yeah.
Weird lady? Yeah.
Her husband got fired immediately, which is kind of crazy.
I mean, first of all, why the fuck are you like? He's doing chalk out. Like, you really think you're like? Even if you think the guy is like defacing the property, he's using stencil. Do you really think it's that? Like, just walk on, just leave. And he puts his camera up. You just put your racism inside and get the fuck out of there. Why do you keep speaking? What have you not seen the fact that it's going to be on social media in a moment? Is it so? Does it feel just weird how everyone holds a video camera with them? And everything's getting videotaped, and everything's getting recorded and put online, and like people can find out your information in like a matter of minutes.
Yeah,
it's kind of fucking creepy.
The lady in Central Park got outed in like not less than like an hour by her former dog walkers.
I mean, on the one hand, those people suck, and so I'm fine with them getting outed. But it does seem like, I don't know, you'll just do something less like, well, you don't do something like that because like those people are all assholes, but like you'll do something and suddenly heading up online and your life will be ruined.
What would you do if someone coughed in your face, like in the bagel shop, like right now? Like if you were that person, like I don't think I could react rationally. Like I think I'd lose my mind.
Yeah, I think I would swing.
Yeah. Do you think Bri would open his mouth and ask her to cough again?
It's just, the crazy thing is everybody knows everyone's filming everything, and these people still act like this.
Yeah, it's not like the idea of someone posting something is like a new idea. Like they're like, the woman in the bagel shop didn't know she was being recorded, and then she turns the last second, sees she's being recorded, and you just have that. She has that moment of, "I'm so fucked," whatever. But like the woman with the chalk thing, like she knows she's being recorded the whole time. Just fucking walk away.
Yeah, she was totally cool with just being a horrible person.
She thought like, what was the scenario she thought was going to happen? Like she's being recorded. It's going to go online. Like,
yeah, I have no idea what her end game was there.
So apparently, so Apple has taken a stance on all this, and apparently you could tell, if you're being pulled over by the police, you can tell Siri. I forgot exactly how it is, but you can tell Siri you're being pulled over by the cops, and Siri will record the whole interaction. Which is kind of cool that Apple did that. And I'm wondering if Apple also like has a something for racists, like where it goes, "Hey Siri, I see a black man defacing property," and Siri will say, "Hey, maybe he lives there. Get your fucking racist ass out of here now before your life gets ruined." Thank you, Siri.
That would be pretty dope.
Siri, God fucking damn it. Maybe he's watching birds. Shut the fuck up, late lady.
Right.
Yeah.
Siri, they go for jogs. I shouldn't get my gun and shoot him. Okay, you're right, Siri. Okay, cool. Liam writes, when is Jason going back to his office and in the subway to test his immune system? Will his job have? Will he be one of the lucky ones who has had his job let him stay home permanently?
I hope so. I don't want to go back on the subway. I want nothing to do with this. I wanted nothing to do with the subway when there wasn't a pandemic.
Jay, what if they find you your job calls and goes, "Hey, we know you don't like where you live. We found you a new apartment. It's a block from your office, so you can come into the office."
I don't want that job though.
Yeah, but would they make you this offer? Would you do the offer?
No.
They're going to give you a different apartment, different neighbors.
No.
Peter, are you going back? What's the story for you? Are you working from home exclusively? Are you going? Is there any plans to go back in the office?
I mean, like at the earliest would be like around Labor Day, but even then, pretty much anyone who wants to stay home can stay home, indefinitely, as long as they're like doing their work and stuff. So I'm lucky in that respect. But yeah, I mean, like I've actually been working on like the return to work team. So like looking at all the legal issues around like having people come back and such. And I mean, there's so many people who I work for a bank, so many people who are actually going to have to come back, like tellers and people at the branches and stuff. And I don't envy them. I mean, that's like the whole reopening thing is crazy to me because we like messed up the lockdown and like it's only getting worse. And they're just like reopen. Although there was some good news today. I don't know if you guys saw, they found a steroid, like an old generic drug, helps reduce the likelihood of death in severe COVID cases by about like 25 or 30%, supposedly.
I mean, that's a pretty big percentage.
Yeah, it is. It is for sure.
I think it said you had to be already on like you had to be in the final, like on a respirator, or like you're having trouble breathing before they use it. But like at least like, I mean, the big thing is that like if everyone went to the hospital and recovered, then like this wouldn't be a big deal. It's just obviously the dying aspect.
Yeah.
That's pretty good news. Andrew writes, did Marc hit up his local gun arsenal or to get ready for the riots, or local gun store to get ready for the riots? I did not get a gun, but I don't know. The country's getting crazier and crazier. Maybe I should get a gun. I don't know. I'm probably not getting a gun anytime soon. But would you guys ever get a gun? I don't know if you already, Peter. I don't know how you feel about guns, but what do you guys think?
Yeah, I have no issue with guns, in the hands of people who like know how to get them, like and are responsible and stuff. I think no one needs to have like 100 guns and like, like fully automatics and all this crazy shit. So I think some restrictions are okay.
Why do you hate the Second Amendment in our country?
It's because I'm a Democrat. No, God, please cut that part. I don't want anyone to think I'm a Democrat. Jesus Christ.
So, but would you personally buy a gun?
Me? Yeah, sure. I mean,
okay.
Totally.
I kind of just feel like if I have a gun, I just feel like the whole idea of like somehow this will be end up used in the wrong way, basically. Like somehow I'll shoot someone who I'm not supposed, like a friend or something like that, as opposed to like the chance of me using the gun in a situation where I'm going to protect myself is pretty low.
Like Dick Cheney shooting what's his face, like Rumsfeld in the face with his bird shot.
I wish it was Rumsfeld.
It was some other thing, right?
Yeah, but at least if it was like Rumsfeld, I'd be like, okay, at least one of them deserves to be shot. That sounds good to me.
I do have a crazy gun story for you guys, but for another day.
Okay. Tune in next week for Peter's story about guns. And he's like, anyway, it was me on the hill. The police were down below. It was basically Rambo Part 5.
Exactly.
And last question, Liam writes, Mark and Jason, are you sick of NYC?
So sick of it.
I'm wondering next time I'll even go to New York City. I mean, I guess it won't be. I don't think I'm going to go back to the office at least till next year. At least this is really behind us. I don't know, Peter. Are you sick of you're in Chicago, right?
Yeah, I'm right in downtown. I'm kind of sick of cities in general. I feel like, as this stuff blows over and people could work from home, there's going to be a big exodus because people are going to be like, well, shit, if I could do my job in Patterson, New Jersey or something, like, why am I spending $6,000 a month for this studio?
Mm-hmm.
Cities.
I guess you would really hope companies are going to be cool with people working remotely from here on. I'm sure that there's value for people going to the office, but companies should be so much more chill about this. I don't know if they will be, but
yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. That is our questions, and I think we're out of time. Any last thoughts, guys?
I really like the movie pitch idea. You guys should do that regularly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was good.
Your story also was about the cops. That was a pretty awesome story. I mean, not awesome that it happened to you, but a pretty
telling. Yeah.
That I the whole time I'd be like, why didn't I just shut the fuck up from the cop? The cop was fucking awful, but at the same time, just being in that situation sucks.
I actually have one plug or recommendation for both you guys and
please.
For everyone. You should there's this book called Devil in the Grove. It's about Thurgood Marshall, the first black Supreme Court justice. They won a Pulitzer. The story's set in the 30s and 40s and stuff. You could read it and assume it's happening right now, which is so crazy. It's one of the best books I've read recently. But it just shows you we're in a weird cycle. I strongly recommend it to both of you and anyone who's interested in this sort of stuff.
The Devil in the Grove.
Devil in the Grove, yeah, and it's about Thurgood Marshall's involvement defending people who are falsely accused, police misconduct, systemic injustice, back in the 30s and 40s and early 50s. It's crazy because it really, you're just we literally never learn. History just repeats itself, but it's very good, very, very well written.
Okay, I have just added to cart on Amazon.
Yeah, it's good.
Okay, cool. Jay, are you going to plug any books or TV shows or people to look at on Chatterbait?
I mean, I'm reading the Beastie Boys book right now. I'm almost done. Yeah, it's very good.
Okay. Is that a thing history repeats itself also?
No.
Does that speak to our times? Does that speak? Are the protesters fighting for their right to party?
They're not going to sleep till they get to Brooklyn.
Doesn't seem like they're going to. Okay.
All right. Goodbye, everybody. Thanks. thebrinkofsanity@gmail.com if you want to email us. And we're Brink of Sanity on Facebook and Brink of Sanity 3 on Twitter and patreon.com/thebrinkofsanity. All right.
Also, Jay Loves Music or Music Loves. What is your site again?
Jay Loves Music.
Jay Loves Music. It's a defunct website about music that Jay likes that he stopped writing on.
Well, I did a review a month ago.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. All right. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye, love. Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye. It's all over. Goodbye. It's time to go. This is the end. Say goodbye. You cannot go away. I'm gonna leave you. It's the end. Goodbye. alone. Feels so good.